All right, folks, we are live in Infowarrior with Jason Bermas, and we are going to continue to talk about the collapse of the dollar, the collapse of the U.S. economy, what's coming up at the G20 on the 24th and 25th, and really what they're getting you ready for, what they're gearing up for. And what they're gearing up to tell you is the dollar is dead. It will no longer be the world reserve currency. They set the SDR up in April at the last G20. They just kind of casually said, yes, we have this new special drawing rights unit. We're going to start moving towards that as the IMF and the World Bank and the Federal Reserve really start to become one entity. And that progression has continued to today, where on mainstream news, on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, they are openly talking about how the dollar will no longer be the world reserve currency and that we will have to go to a global currency. Now, I don't know if this means that we're going to have a hard global currency, such as the one that Medvedev showed, I think, about 2 months ago. He showed this coin that was a world currency. I don't know if that's going to be the model. I don't know if it's going to be a coin or a piece of paper or perhaps, a large statement that they just give to banks and other institutions. But I do know that the dollar is going to suffer, and when the dollar suffers, we suffer. And they're going to try to soften the blow, soften the punch, by telling you they're moving towards this green economy. That's what this carbon credit trading system is all about. It's about getting you into a system where you feel guilty for having bags of garbage, multiple cars, too many children, a big house, a large heating bill, and you get taxed to no end as your currency is being devalued at a point where you can't keep up. We are at second world nation status right now. In fact, the news is the dollar is the lowest. Here it is right here. Bloomberg.com. Dollar falls to a one-year low as economy spurs high yield demand. The dollar dropped to the lowest level in a year versus the euro as Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke's declaration that the recession is likely over, which is a complete and total lie. It's a cover story for this next sentence, which led investors to sell the U.S. currency and buy riskier assets. No, they're dumping the U.S. currency. They're dumping the dollar because they know it's on its last hurrah. I know this is an uncomfortable situation, folks. I know this isn't the greatest thing to talk about, but the dollar is dead. It's dead. It's deader than a doornail. I don't know what this is going to mean for me and my ilk, you and yours, but I do know it's not a good thing. I don't know if they're just going to get rid of the dollar altogether. No, it's still going to be our currency, but it's not going to be the world reserve currency. And they've been gearing this up for years and years and years and hyping it up now in the past few months, talking about Russia and China wanting a new global reserve currency. And then about 2 weeks ago, it was the headline over at the Telegraph. Here it is right here. UN wants a new global currency to replace the dollar. The dollar should be replaced with a global currency, the United Nations has said, proposing the biggest overhaul of the world's monetary system since the Second World War. And remember, the end of the Second World War was a huge achievement for the globalists. And it was a huge achievement for the globalists because they failed after the First World War to get the United States behind the League of Nations. Even though it was Woodrow Wilson's baby and there was the 14 points, most Americans didn't buy into it. They didn't want this form of global governance. They saw that it was threatening to their sovereignty, to their freedom, to their Constitution and Bill of Rights. However, after the Second World War, they were able to promote this agenda of a United Nations. And guess what? This time, the United States took the reins and said, yes, we're going to become members. So now the United Nations is propped up as really the apex of global governance. Okay? It's what the front is going to be for how things are going to be run. And why is this important? Well, it's important because Barack Obama is set to be the first sitting president to be the head of the United Nations Security Council. Isn't that a conflict of interest? They're about globalization. They're about the end of sovereignty. They're about a carbon tax for humanity, not for big business, though. Not for big business, for you and me. And Barack Obama's going to head this thing? Give me a break. We'll be back after this. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas, prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com.